By tomorrow. So what is this thing all about? I thought it was time after 6 years. Yeah, this month, 6 years of working on Spy Tomorrow. And I have a lot to share. I want to share how this was developed, what I'm trying to do, the whole thing, as much as I can in a few moments in this video. Just kind of a candid, what is this all about kind of video. And you've seen many of my videos, I'm sure, if you're watching this one. And I'm trying to share different approaches to using this concept. And it started years ago with this question: what if? I didn't set out to create Spy Tomorrow. And it is more successful than I expected it to be quite honest. I was working out a different math problem. I was trying to work something out. I've been trading for a while, but I had not been trading what we refer to as the overnight gap. The time in which the market closes at one point, opens up in the morning, and that's tradable, it turns out. And the question is, okay, which direction? Am I going up or down? What do I use to help me figure that out? And like I said, I was working in some other formulas to figure something else out, and I noticed that when the calculation said up, the next day often correlated to up. And when it said down, it was down. Now, this was during a very volatile or big move time. This was the beginning of COVID. So, there are times it was certainly wrong because of changes in news and so forth, but because of such high volatility, when it said up because the pressure was up and nothing was there to change it, it went up. And so I actually did very well the first month. My wife was thrilled, gave her a check, and I continued on the process. And eventually I said, hey, why don't I just create a website? That's part of what I do for a living. And I'll just create a website and give it away for free, which I still do to this day, give it away on the front page for free. And I show you, for good or worse, it's what the last 20 days did. And you can see. And so I continued this process, and it was all by hand in spreadsheets, in Google spreadsheets. And I had ups and downs, but I found better formulas and new ways to express the formulas and new ways to process what I was doing. But again, it was all by hand. And even the website, in the early days, I literally had a frame on the front page of Spy Tomorrow. And it was like an iframe that would hook into my Google Sheets. And so I would just hand put the up or down signal in that on the Google Sheet in that frame. And it was, again, very manual. And I went through ups and downs. I discovered some things that I referred to as the switch. And before I discovered that, I had to shut down Spy Tomorrow because of this switch. And what's the switch? The switch is everything is right. Like, it would go 30 days and, it'd be correct 25 out of 30 days. It was doing great, and then all of a sudden, bam, it switched. Plus was minus, minus was plus, and everything was reversed. What's going on? So I had to figure out, and I did this by hand, figure out what was the switch. And there are a few of them, actually. The one I used today was not the switch that I thought was the strongest at the time. But I figured that out, and eventually I relaunched Spy Tomorrow again. And people came in, and I had some good videos that drove some traffic, and the community really started to develop. But then it started to fade. It was part of it because volatility was coming down, and those big ups and downs and moves, it was harder to read with the formulas and what I was doing. And so it really, over the years, I continued to find better ways to express what I knew was there. And to be quite honest, there are times I probably easily could have quit. Because, okay, what new formula is going to fix this? But I did find stuff, and eventually I found what is referred to as the purple algorithm, and I had different color algorithms. And the purple did pretty darn well. I had a 100 trade, which would be, it's hard. It takes a while to test these things because, and some of the things I learned was how to test in parallel, a whole bunch of different formulas at once and different approaches, even creating the heart algorithm. Maybe some of you remember that. And it's just this process of learning more and more. And every time I learned a little bit better way of doing something, it just continued to push me on. And like I said, I eventually created the purple algorithm, which again, it's overnight is one piece of data. You know, the end of the trading day to the next morning, one piece of data. So 100 pieces of data is 100 days, or sets of data at least. And so it took time, you know, to figure out if something worked or didn't work well. And so I always offered the best working model that I had. And now it's a year ago, and the purple model was doing really well. But again, after 4 or 5 years, it was still a manual, mostly manual process. And I needed to fix that. And AI was getting a lot better. And I tried to, although it really wasn't doing it so well, tried to pull the math out of my spreadsheets into code. And during that process, not long, fortunately, not long, like within 2 months, a combination of what I was doing was just, I accidentally discovered this combination when I was testing a whole bunch of things like I was doing before, but maybe in a little bit faster manner and a little more precise manner. I found this, again, a better formula that started to beat the purple algorithm. I think, okay, it's time. I started working with that, and by the fall, I really had it down, and I have tweaked it, and I was ready to launch by the new year, 2026. Here's the thing. I also discovered that some algorithms, the switch, worked better in a down switch, and some in an up switch, and some better in a neutral switch, and some work better during higher IVs. In other words, higher volatility. We discovered that early on. It's all just come together. Certain algorithms worked really well in high volatility when we first started, and that was a great opportunity that I just happened to start during high volatility, because I was able to see that during those big moves. If it was lower volatility, this may have never happened if we didn't have that time. And so I discovered that, and so I started testing, and the percent correct started going up a lot. This algorithm automatically ran or was presented when the market was in, say, negative gamma and really volatile. And if it was over 18% for SPY, we use this one. And if it was positive, we use this one. And it just got better. And so that's where we are today. And that kind of, in some ways, delayed some of where I wanted to be in terms of really promoting SPY Tomorrow. Again, you know, I've been promoting it. I've always given my best. It's been a sincere effort from the very beginning because I want it to work for me. I was creating something for me, and now I'm creating dashboards from me, and I share them with you and other people. And again, free on the front page, but if people want more, because I've created additional features along the way, if they want more of the details and even AI to explain it, because now I have AI just easily explaining what is in the dashboard, because I have realized that sometimes I know what those dashboard things are saying, but nobody else really does. So I figured we need AI to help kind of interpret Rosh mind speak, I guess, and it lays it out a little bit easier. But I do try to give different levels of up, down, but here's more why if you care. And here's more detail if you care. Here are other algorithms or variations or combinations of algorithms if you care. So you can trade overnight, take advantage of that overnight gap that you've noticed using the style or methods that you think are best. And I've come up with a number of different variations through the years. One of my big videos was that 2-to-1 option ratio, the only trade you'll ever need. And it worked great when there was a lot of volatility. But again, when that volatility came down, it started to break. And so I started discovering, maybe 3-to-1, 4-to-1. Now we're at the point, again, it's been years of discovery and mistakes that I've made. I mean, again, sincere, like this is the way I recommend it based off of my experience, but you got to test it yourself. But this is what I got for you. And so I've now come to the ratio trades are really designed as a hedge to protect you. And when we're in negative gamma or high volatility, that works great. And that's not a bad way to go at times. And there are many other ways to trade options or ETFs, straight up stock. I mean, there are many ways. And I've never told anybody exactly how to trade it. I've just given some best practices and ideas based on what I've learned. And again, there are many different ways to overnight swing trade. So we've learned that. So those 2-to-1, 3-to-1 ratios, those are good in high volatility times and negative gamma, which we post if it's negative gamma or not. But if it's straight up like last summer of 2025, that was kind of an example of positive gamma. It just slowly ticked up for months. Just a little bit, no big moves. So if you have both calls and puts, you could lose just even if you were right. And so I really realized that it's the best way to step away from promoting that as a solution to everything, I guess. Again, when it was negative gamma, it was a pretty good solution. And that's what I knew. So I think that this experience has brought me again to today. I'm very confident. And I am at that point where, sure, there's some tweaks. And yes, there's some support information that I could present, but I, for the most part, have my algorithm. And, if this totally breaks during this year for some reason, it just stops working, that will be the end of SPY tomorrow. I mean, I'm not going to go any further. And the reason, not so much that I could do, is that I think this algorithm is so strong, or the series of algorithms are so strong. Yes, I could maybe, one could develop and I could switch one out somewhere, but this approach that we have, like this algorithm for negative gamma, this algorithm for positive gamma and neutral and so forth, that is the best approach. So it should always stay relatively strong. And I was really excited in a horrible way that I got to test this, because the first, say, 50 trade nights, the top algorithms came through and it was solid, 85, 90% correct with this approach. But then we hit a war time, which is about as volatile as you can get. So then obviously the accuracy dropped, because you just can't fight against political news, wartime news, shifts overnight. It's just, you're not going to win that. But it held together pretty well. And that's where I kind of got that third algorithm in there that I discovered was kind of like a base catch-all algorithm. And that was still like 75% correct. So before the war, it was in the high 80s, even early 90s in some time frames. And during the first 6 weeks of the war, it all dropped down, but now it's picked back up again because they work, and they work well. Again, there are going to be shifts overnight. Yes, things will change during big economic news, but that's part of the process. Being aware of what is possible overnight. The last 2 nights, I did not trade. The first night was because the signal just didn't give me the confidence. And I think that's a sign of maturity. 3 years ago, I would have been trading every single night, no matter what. I'm like, you know what? It's about capital preservation too. And then last night was a big tech sector earnings night. And so I didn't trade that because the spreads were so far. When that happens, and I like to trade options, the spreads are so far and there's so much, the premiums are so much higher that by morning, even if you're right, you could still lose. And I've learned that lesson quarter after quarter. So again, it was in that first half hour right, meaning we consider correct the first half hour of the trading day. Our goal is met within the first half hour. Only the first half hour. Going beyond that, you're going to have to take another reading, and we provide different readings for during the day if you're a day trader. We focus on overnight swing trading, and that's pretty much all that I do because I find that, look, I like high risk, high reward. This is a high risk, high reward style of trading, but I have a lot of stuff to do during the day. I don't want to stare at the screen, the stock market all day. And so this is why, well, this type of trading is for me. And I share the knowledge that I have. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a guy who creates algorithms. And I share my experience. I share what has worked for me, what I've learned. And yes, that has evolved over the years. And I do think that I will be promoting this even more as it stays strong and continues to get stronger. And as I continue to find the little tweaks that make it just a hair better, I just don't think it's going to be much more of a big jump. We've kind of gone from, and this is a generalization, from a happy purple algorithm of about 75% correct to, let's say, non-wartime, regular times, non-big news times where everything is jumping up and down to, 80, 85, and even at times 90% correct. When we get those news times or sections like those 6 weeks, it may be 70, 75%. That's still pretty good because even the big move days during that time makes up for it all because it's not just a 30% gain, say, for options. It's 100, 200, 300% gain for your options. So, again, it's a trade-off. You have to do the math to really figure out which approach, again, leverage ETFs, stocks, options, what option style is best for you. I'm always willing to share, in general, what I like to do, but you have to make those decisions. You have to make those decisions for yourself. I started this with what if? And I've made mistakes, and I've had a lot of wins, enough wins and enough good experience to keep me going for 6 years. And I think we've gotten a really good engine. I think we have a really good algorithm that will continue for some time. And for those who are looking for a different way to trade, just go to SPY tomorrow. Paper trade. See if it's right for you. Just go to the front page. See if it says up or down or neutral. And decide how you're going to trade overnight. If you need more information, like how strong is that signal? What are the other support signals? Well, then become a member. But you don't need to do that in the beginning. You just need to figure out, is this style of trading right for me first? And then ask yourself the question, do I need more information? Would more information make me a better trader for overnight swing trading? And I've had people say, hey, I'm a better trader by using your daytime information or your overnight swing trading, being able to set up for tomorrow, knowing what the pressure and what all the details were, like the hurdle rate the night before, the volatility, the gamma, where was it sitting before the close? And that helps me become a better trader just preparing for the next day if you're a day trader. There's so many approaches. There's not just one way. But I think I have one of the strongest tools out there to support those who need this type of information. I want to hear about your experience overnight swing trading. Put it in the comments below. And I know some of you have had good experiences with SPY tomorrow, and I know there are people who've had poor experiences with SPY tomorrow. But ultimately, it's in our hands. And most of my bad experiences have come from me doing things to make up bad decisions I had made earlier. And I hope you're not doing that. Keep it simple. That's the best advice I can say. Just keep it simple, stick with your plan, and let's continue to build the Spy Tomorrow community together. Hey, I'll see you in the next video.